Hello, I'm back. I am filming this immediately after the last video. But I'm not in the bathroom, obviously. I'm out in the rest of my hotel room. I have Forrest back there, chilling on the bed. Actually, I might grab him. I am beginning to have the come down effects of psilocybin, which is exhaustion, um, sleepiness, yawning, just tired. But I get tired when I'm very impassioned. I get tired after I'm really angry about something, really passionate about something. I get tired. It's just how it goes. I'm a little comet. Sometimes I burn a little too bright. Gotta take a little break. My voice is a little tired, but I'm gonna tell you guys the story anyways because I told you I would, and I figured now would be the best time while I'm still thinking about it. So let me go grab him, and then I'll tell you guys about it. Okay. So this is Forrest. I haven't had him for very long. I got him last Christmas. So not very long. I've only had him a few months. Almost 6 months. But I didn't like the red bears. They had the green bears and the red ones. Usually I'm a very red oriented person. I like red a lot. But the red coloring on those particular bears was not great. There was something worse about it. But the green ones looked really nice. So I think what it was is the red bears were just too bright red, like fire shark red, and I'm like, So I went with him. He was the first bear I picked up, and he was the one I took home. So as a plushie lover, and other plushie people watching who can understand, but I might use him a little bit for like demonstration. Sometimes I'm gonna fiddle and pet and hold him a lot. So you're gonna see me doing like just either spinning or holding him like this. It's a comfort thing, and just whatever. But he knows I love him, so whatever I do to him is not coming from a place of spite or hate or evilness. It's coming from just me being a little too excited or a little too overwhelmed, a little too emotional, things like that. Sometimes when I'm on magic mushrooms, I have a tendency to squeeze and wring things. So I'm going to use your arm as an example here for a second. And I have a little purple skinny thing that I usually use when I get like that. But like I will squeeze and I will twist and wring and like pull. I'll do that, and I'm not doing it very hard to him because I don't want to hurt him. But like I said, there's a purple thing I have that I'll like grab by the neck and the body and just do that. And it's also a plushie, but the feeling is better for it. But I don't do that to him. Anyway. Okay. So the first time I took psilocybin, I was over 21 because I was over 21. I can't remember exactly what age. I think I was God. I have to like reverse. I've been with my current girlfriend for I think 4 years. So I had it was like I was 24, 25, I think, when I had first had my first dose ever, and it was a huge one. When I asked the dude how much I should take, he just said to take the whole thing, and it wasn't very big. Let me see. It was about the size of a sugar packet, so about that big. But more square, so maybe like that big, which isn't very big. I was like, should I just eat half? And he said, no, you take the whole thing. And I said, okay, because I had done some research. I knew like the basics, and I understood like the science, but he dealt in these kinds of things and made these kinds of things, and so I trusted him. Which I'm not saying as like, oh, he misguided me. He was for sure someone that like yeah, and I think he knew that when you take something like that, it could either break you or make you, and it was for sure it is a break and make situation. But either it'll break you and you won't want to touch the stuff ever again, or it breaks you and remakes you, and you understand, and you want to keep understanding, and you keep chasing the understanding, and you want to learn more, and you want to know more. And there's only two ways it can come out. But like I said, I don't know what strain it was. I don't know how much it was. All I know is that it was a square of chocolate wrapped in tinfoil. It was mushroom extract. So, yes. When I took it, I wasn't really... I couldn't classify myself as a stoner. A casual smoker, maybe, but not a stoner. I hadn't really done any other drugs since, but like before then. Like I said, occasional smoking, not a drinker. I really don't like alcohol very much. Which is great because my mom growing up was really worried I would addiction runs on my dad's side really bad of like alcohol and stuff, and so she was worried that addictive personality would carry over to me, and it didn't. I hate alcohol, and I don't really smoke tobacco. I mean, once in a blue moon, I'll like little puff on a Swisher, but it is like once in a blue moon. Like I don't think I had tobacco not the last time I went to Texas, but the time before when I took a bus and like took a couple hits. That was it. And then when I missed my bus, which I didn't miss it, my bus came early, and that's how I missed it. Even though I was 15 minutes early, I still missed it by 5. I was big stressed out, big stressed out, big angry with myself, and thank God my parents have come a long ways since I was young, so I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for my parents. Anyway, but that addictive personality didn't carry over to me. My personality is addictive, but I don't have an addictive personality, which is good. So yeah, before I took it, no history of heavy drugs, smoking, drinking, or anything like that. Like I said, every once in a while, a little puff of weed, and that's it. And then I also hadn't really had any therapy. Not since I was really young before then. So taking it, when I took it, there was no other drug history, no real bad drug history, no heavy drug history, no drinking history. Pretty virgin as it gets. Never had psychedelics before. This was my first time. My home life growing up, not bad. It was good compared to most. Loving parents, kind of strict though, so kind of weird. And I'll get into that as when I talk about the trip, which I'll go ahead and do. You guys understand that, you guys understand when I mean that I was like going into it for the first time. It was something. Put your little hands on the table. Okay, we're gonna lock down. So I took it. I ate the whole thing like I was told. It was okay. My boyfriend at the time, I had taken to work, and he got to work at like 7 in the morning. After I got back, I think I took it at 8 or 8:30, and then I think the effects, if I'm remembering right, because I do remember it pretty vividly. Tiny details like that I don't really do well with in general, but big events I can usually grasp pretty well. And so I probably took it about 8 or 8:30, and I think the come up was around 9. I think it took like an hour for it to kick in, and during that hour what I did is I did a lot of mental preparation because I understood that's what I needed to do. So I did the rules for myself. No drinking milk. Like, I was having a cup of milk, and then when I started to feel the side effects, I was like, okay, no more milk. And I took my glass and I put it in the kitchen, and I made sure it was out of reach, and that when you make rules for yourself before the trip, they're easy to follow. When you say no milk, okay, no milk. It's really easy. So I said no milk, and I put my cup aside, and I didn't touch it the whole trip, even though it was right there. I could still see it on the island, because at one point I got up and I was moving around a lot. Like I said, I'm very mobile and very tactile when I'm on mushrooms. I talk a lot with my hands and my body. I'm expressive. I'm sorry. The AC next to me is making this very soft sound, and it's lulling me, not to sleep, but just into a meditative space. I'm gonna turn this way. It's a little better. The way I understand hearing is different based on how I'm sitting and such. That's just another thing I'm not gonna go into too much because I'll talk too much. So I took the chocolate, came up, and I set rules for myself. No drinking milk, because I understood that drinking milk could cause nausea, could cause vomiting, and you don't want to throw up milk or dairy. Now, as a beginner, these are good rules. Later on, you kind of understand, when you understand yourself more and you understand your body and how you react to magic mushrooms, then you can kind of gauge, oh, okay, I can have cheese. I can have a little milk in my coffee when I take it. I can have milk. I can have ice cream. You can have dairy, but you have to, when you're first taking it, I would recommend no dairy at all, because you need to be able to gauge yourself before anything, because like I said, if you do take it and you do get nauseous and you do throw up, you don't want dairy in your body. That's just not what you want. I'm not speaking from experience, but I can understand like the feeling and how that would just not be cool. So no dairy. One of the other rules was no going outside, and I came kind of close during the trip, but I actually didn't go outside. So no going outside, because, and this was honestly, I didn't know it at the time when I was setting these rules, but obviously, like, going into it, I didn't understand how hot magic mushrooms will make you, and as a result, I did wind up naked. I did wind up like butt naked. I'm usually not as dressed. I'm not this dressed. I'm usually outside with like as little clothes on as possible because I'm hot. And I want to be hot and I want to be sweaty. It's, for some people, it's they don't like it. Makes them itchy. I like it. I like being hot. I like my skin feeling tight. I like being sweaty. That's just how I thrive. Anyway, but no going outside, no dairy. What was another? Oh, mirrors. At the time, I avoided mirrors because that was something everyone always told me. You don't look in mirrors when you're on magic mushrooms, because I didn't ever question why. I didn't ever look up why. I just was like, okay, I'm not gonna do that. So I didn't. Okay. So now I'm gonna get into the actual trip. Thank you for sitting this long and waiting for me to stop rambling and actually get to it. Okay. So when the trip began, I was on the couch. I got up and I was listening to music at the time. I was listening to Heilung because that's what I just got into Heilung when I think I was only into them for maybe like 6 months, maybe less, maybe a little more. So I was listening to Heilung. My trip started. It started off good. I mean, it never got bad. It just got intense. I can't remember. Oh, when it started, the reason why I was filming was because I was doing it for educational purposes and I wanted to showcase a trip. That was before I understood how big of a trip I was going to be on. So when I started recording, everything kind of got kind of weird, and it's still kind of weird to think about. Because I was on a laptop, I was on the floor, and that's okay. I was on the floor, my laptop, I was talking to it, and then like I filmed, and then I stopped filming, and I filmed and I stopped filming, and I was watching the video back. So I was, instead of hearing Heilung, I was hearing my voice back over the speaker, and then the trip escalated very fast. So I know in my last video I said that magic mushrooms is usually like a nice elevation, like a slow climb. This was still a slow climb, and I can say that because I'm missing pieces. I can remember the big moments, but time does not exist when you're on magic mushrooms. Everything feels like it's happening much faster, much longer. So I can safely say that the slow, although it felt like it wasn't a slow escalade, it was a slow escalade, but in the moment it felt like I felt like I was on a broken moving sidewalk. Like it was moving too fast. But like but that's because I was still new and it was my first time and I didn't understand. So I just had to buckle up. It's like a roller coaster. I had to just buckle up and trust that the ride was not gonna break down on me. And trust me, the ride got shaky and I got whiplash from the roller coaster. This metaphorical roller coaster. um, but I came out of it and I lived. um, so I just remember, okay, I'm like excited to talk about it, but I keep like stalling. Um, I don't know why. I guess because like I don't want people, for the same reason. Or before when I first took it, I didn't want people to worry. I really did not want people to worry. Um, and like I was recording and everything was going well, and I was trying to listen back to the recording and I was being like, okay, but then something happened where the trip took a weird turn that I was not accustomed to, but where I started to hold conversations with myself. I was hearing my voice come out of the speaker and I was talking back to it. And that is one of those loops that you can get stuck into that I talked about in a video a couple of videos ago. You get caught in these loops. Mushrooms will get you in a loop all the time, every time, if you let it. What you have to do is get out of the loop. You have to figure out. You have to realize you're in it, and then you have to stop it, and then you have to get out of it. It just is what it is. You will go around in circles until you realize I'm in a circle, and you have to get out of the circle. But it's kind of fun sometimes. It's good for you in the moment, and it's kind of fun in the moment. But once you realize, fuck, I've been in a circle, you gotta get out of the circle. So I started talking to myself over the speaker. I was hearing my voice come out of the speaker, and I was talking back to it. In my last video, if you made it that long into it, I started talking about the pushing, and I'm gonna use you as my example. So I was kind of knelt down on the carpet. So like I was knelt down on the carpet like this. I'm not hurting you, am I? And I was doing something. I was either typing or I was drawing. And I kept feeling this pushing on my shoulder, like something pushing on me, legit. Like, and I've always believed in ghosts. I've always been spiritual. I've always heard voices, seen things. So for me, this pushing, was really strange because I either thought it was the beginning of a seizure or something was actually touching me. And you could almost call it a seizure, but I was cognizant and I was moving and I was up and around. I wasn't frothing at the mouth. I wasn't I was drooling, but that's a different thing. It was, I have to slow down because it just gets wild. The more I'm replaying it back in my mind, the wilder it is. So it started with this pushing sensation. And I remember whatever I was doing, I was being pushed on, and I kept throwing my arm back and telling it to quit. And I have this recorded, I just don't have the footage anymore, but I recorded it because I watched it back and I showed people how I was reacting to this trip. And even the guy I got the chocolate from, I showed him, I was like, I filmed most of my trip and I wanted you to see because I thought it was really weird and fascinating to watch back sober. And when I was showing it to him, he goes, he was like, oh my gosh, that looks like a bad trip. And he goes, and I was like, it didn't feel like a bad trip. Like, because it didn't. It felt intense, but not bad. It didn't scare me. to me, a bad trip scares the person from wanting to do it again. This was not that. I was not scared once. Like, ever during the whole thing was I ever scared. It was a lot of feelings coming out from someone who is very stoic, who doesn't show a lot of emotions, who's very bottled up and very tense and tied up. That mold that I talked about in my last video, that mold I was in was breaking apart. And it looks bad. It sounds bad. It's like, but it had to be done. And it made me, it released me. But we're gonna keep going. But I showed him and he goes, that looks like a bad trip. And I said, no, it was a lot, but I wouldn't consider it bad. And he was just thrown by it. Because, like I said, he made this stuff and he's been around other people who take this stuff and other drugs. And so I'm sure he's seen a lot. So, but we also knew each other. We were friends. And so it probably bothered him to see me act this way. Because I'm very put together. So seeing someone you know who's put together act a way they're not supposed to act, or act in a way you're not used to, it scares people. It's okay. It's okay to be scared by that. Anyway. Sorry, I'm... So the pushing, and I threw my arm back, and I said, stop. I kept saying, stop touching me, stop touching me, stop touching me. And in the video, I remember you can see me doing this with my shoulder, like I'm being pushed. So I'm like doing this, but I'm throwing my arm back, trying to get whoever is touching me to stop touching me. Because I legit feel like I'm being touched. And like being pushed. Like I said, I'm knelt down on the floor, I'm bent over, and whoever is pushing me is like pushing me into the floor. Like, it was like forcing me to, like, whatever it was, or whatever, was trying to force me to, prostrate myself. It was trying to force me to prostrate myself on the floor. It was, and like, I was fighting it at first, and then I had to, I was like, I can't fight it. And that's one of the big things is you cannot fight it. You have to let it do it. And so like, it forced me lower and lower and lower to the floor. And I was cheek down on the carpet with my shoulder like this. And I'm still knelt down, but I'm being held down now. And I'm just kind of like breathing through it. And I don't know when I put the music back on. I can't tell you when I put the music back on, when I put Hai Long back on. But it had to have happened sometime between me talking to myself on the speaker and... No, what it was is I had me talking on one speaker and I had Hai Long coming out of my vinyl player radio FM Bluetooth thing I got from Walmart. That was playing Hai Long. I was hearing myself talk from the fucking laptop. The video I had taken before was playing back to me, and that's what I was responding to. But I was still hearing Hai Long, and I can't remember, something happened. My face is down on the carpet, my shoulder's on the carpet, my face is down on the carpet, and I'm like being pushed and forced down. Like at first, in the moment, I thought I was gonna be like I said, I thought I was gonna be having a seizure. Because I was kind of like doing this. And I think in that moment I was a little scared, but not because of the trip. I wasn't scared. I was scared because I was worried the trip was causing a seizure, which I was home alone. I was not scared of the trip. I was scared of the fact that I was alone with the possibility of a seizure. I don't get grand mal seizures, but I could not, in that moment, imagine getting a seizure while tripping on mushrooms. That just sounds like it scared me in the moment. But the trip wasn't what was scary. It was the idea of having one of my seizures while tripping. But like I said, I don't get grand mal seizures where I just like black out, bite my tongue, and I could like whatever. I get really stiff, and I can still see and hear, and I can still like understand people. I just can't move. I get really stiff. I get shaky. I get clammy. Can't move. And I have to like talk to my teeth to get people to like I clench my jaw, but I'm not like I don't bite my tongue off or I bite my cheek. Anyway, but I had my shoulder down the carpet and my face down, and it felt like something was holding me there. And I remember laughing a lot. Like I was like I just remember like breaking out in laughter. The problem is I haven't been diagnosed with it, but I know I have multiple personality disorder, DID, but I have not been diagnosed with it, so I'm not gonna say whatever. So I just remember, and when I'm on magic mushrooms, this can cause like either minute switching for me. What it feels like kind of like a poke and then out and then poke and then out, and sometimes it's like a full like, and then it's someone else, or it's this is another can of worms. I'll get into another video if you want where I talk about it, because I don't really talk about it at all with anybody. I try to keep it really close to the chest because I don't because of bad history with someone else in the situation. Anyway, but I remember laughing a lot. I was like giggling uncontrollably. Like I don't know what was funny. I'm pinned down to the carpet. I'm just laughing, and I knew I was still recording at the time, and I knew people were gonna worry. So I grabbed like my sketch pad, and like I'm still like shaking and doing this where I'm having trouble controlling the upper part of my back, and I'm moving a lot, but because I don't know how I don't know how to channel it. At that time I did not know how to channel it. I didn't know what to do, so I just stayed on the ground and I just kept doing this, and I kept like moving my body because I just didn't have a chance. I was shaking really bad. I was like doing this a lot, and I had so much energy that it paralyzed me to the floor, even though what I should have been doing is getting up and doing this, and I should have been like throwing my body outward. I should have been taking that energy and throwing it, but like I said, it was my first time. I didn't know I was supposed to be throwing my energy. I didn't know what to do. I was so caught off guard by the intensity and the emotion of it all that I was literally like paralyzed to the floor. But not really. I just could not think. There was so much happening, I just could not think. But I grabbed like my sketchbook at the time. I grabbed my sketchbook at the time. I looked at the camera, and I tried my best. I tried my best to write like documentation, don't worry, or this is for like documentation, don't worry, and my writing is like illegible. Like it does not look like English. Like you can kind of make out the words, but it is like it's like curved. The words aren't put together. The letters aren't whole. There's missing letters. Some of it just looks like scribble, but I can read it and I know what it says. And this is when I start to kind of lose my grasp on English. It was a cool experience it was a weird one, and it was kind of cool because I like looking back on it, it was cool. In the moment, like I said, you can't fight these things. You just have to let it happen. But this is when I started to lose my ability to speak English. And you're like, well, what language were you speaking? I don't know. For me, when I watched it back, it sounded a lot like what language? Forgive me. The languages, the like home language of like Jewish people. I don't know whether to call that like Arabic or what have you. But that's what it sounded like. It was like a lot of like repetition. It was a lot of like repeating consonants and like and using a lot and but like just keep repeating. But I understood what I was saying, and it was strange. It was really strange. It gets weirder because, like, the fact I grew up in a really religiously strict household. I'm not Jewish. I grew up, well, not super strict. I grew up first, not pescatarian, Pentecostal, is that the right word? I think I grew up in there's like 2 or 3 P Christian branches. I grew up in one of the P's. That was fine. And then when my mom remarried, we became, my dad was Catholic, so we became Roman Catholic. So things got kind of stricter, and religion was really big, and because you can't do this because of religion, you can't do that because of religion, because of religion. So that whole thing affected how my trip came. My trip was very religious heavy, like, and I like the kneeling on the carpet, the being forced to prostrate myself, the losing the grasp on English, and what I'm gonna call speaking in tongues, or it sounded a lot like the Jewish language, but I don't speak that language. I've only like listened to music from like I can't remember his name right now, Rabbi something, but I really like his music because I heard it in House once, the TV show House, and this episode where he's helping the Jewish woman who has the hanging kidney or whatever, or something that's causing her to faint. It's like a hanging kidney or a hanging lung. But the music in it is done by Rabbi something or other, and I really liked it, so I got into that. But I don't understand it. I don't speak it. It was just something I casually listened to and vibe with. But not what I was listening to at the time. I was listening to Heilung at the time, which Heilung means healing, and their music can be really intense because it's about war and loss and things like that, and the history of everything, of Germans and of Germanic people and Nordic people and Vikings and things like that. So I think I'm sorry. Okay. Right. Okay. I turned myself. Let me turn this way. Okay. I'm resetting. I have to reset. Okay. I know I got excited. I'm sorry. So I'm holding up the paper that says documentary, don't worry, but you can't fucking read it. But it almost says that I'm tapping it, and I'm having to enunciate to get English out, because what's coming out of my mouth is what I kept telling people was baby babble. Where I just go and I just kept repeating. I kept doing that. Where I was getting in these stutters, the circles. I was getting in circles with my words, and I couldn't get past it. So like when I was like holding it up and I was tapping on the paper for the recording and going, and I remember this really well. I went documentary. Do not worry. I had to really enunciate to get the English word out because I could not speak English. I had to, but I knew it. I just could not speak it, and it was crazy to experience. What else? I got really after that, and I was like, okay, now everyone knows this is a documentary and not to worry, because this went up on, I posted that video, I like ended it and posted it on Facebook because I had just posted something before and I didn't want people to freak out, especially my family. And I posted it. The problem is it got corrupted. The video, when I posted it on the story, it was corrupted, so it did not look good. I had people concerned out the ass for me. And I was trying so hard, like, I'm not in danger, please, this is for educate. I'm trying to just document it. And it just was all going wrong. It was all going wrong. Like, I wasn't on my phone. I kept my phone away from me because, so I can't even, like, after the trip, I had so many, like, text messages, I had calls, I had notifications out the ass, like, and people were really concerned. And to make matters worse, I wasn't really talking with my family at all. Like, I had done something they didn't agree with, and because it went against their religion, and I was not on speaking terms with them at all. My mom had said some pretty mean things to me, and so at that time I was not in speaking terms, and that also kind of manifested, but as a religious metaphor in the trip. I know this video is going on a long time. I'm sorry, I'm a storyteller. Okay, focus. Okay, what if I just, like, I think I keep getting distracted by, like, things like my visuals, so I'm gonna, like, do this. Okay. Whatever helps, right? So I'm holding the sketchbook up. I can't talk English. I had to enunciate the words. Everyone's probably freaking out. I know everyone was freaking out. Not my family, because I'm not on speaking terms with them. I stopped recording after that. I stopped focusing on the recording because something was happening where, like, there was eyes. It was just eyes all over me, and pressure. And that comes from me being always watched, me and the expectations put on me, and and all that pressure, all those eyes, that was coming through in the trip. And I remember turning around and crawling, I got on my hands and knees and crawled away from my laptop for a little bit, and I crawled to, like, the middle of the floor, and at that point I was starting to have, like, a full on, like, I wouldn't call it a mental breakdown, but I was really upset. Oh my god. I was on my hands and knees, and I was laughing, but then I started to cry, and I started to get really upset because something just took over. That's the only way I know how to describe it. I literally, the trip manifested how I felt growing up, and the hurt I was feeling turned it into me as Lucifer himself being cast out of heaven, even though I didn't understand. I didn't understand what I did. I didn't understand what I did wrong. I was so angry and so hurt, and I couldn't understand why. but I felt like Lucifer himself. Like I felt my feet change to hooves. I had horns coming out of my head. Not actually, but I could feel it, and I could feel like wings in my back. And I was angry. I was crying. I was so. When I tell you I was angry, I was digging my nails into the carpet and like seething through my teeth and like drooling all over it. I was righteously furious, like on a different level. Uh, and like I still can't speak English, so after that I turn over and I start pointing at the sky and I start yelling. I'm yelling at God. I'm fighting with God, and I do that a lot because God pisses me off. The Abrahamic God pisses me off. I am yelling. I'm angry. I'm crying. I'm like shouting out in this language that I don't know and I don't understand. And like at one point, I get up, and this is when I'm naked, and I walk over to the front door because it's not that far, and I put my hand on the knob, on the handle, but I stop. And for a split second, it stops me. The trip just kind of pauses. And I'm staring at my fingers on the doorknob. And then I take my hand away. And then I stand there and I start really crying. Like, not out of anger, not out of frustration, but of actual loneliness, melancholy, like an abandoned child. And I start crying, and I remember bringing my hands up like this, but I'm not holding anything. But I'm holding my hands like this, and I'm just like my head is like this, and I'm just bawling, and I'm like moaning, kind of crying, and I'm like shuffling very slowly in a circle around the apartment because I'm thinking about my mom. And I feel in that moment because I wasn't talking to her, because she had said such hurtful things to me, I felt I didn't understand why what I did was, this is my abortion, the abortion I had. To me, it's not a big deal. I understand it's against their religion, and I understand why it can be against, some people it's not right for them. But I don't think what's right is when your child, because I had the abortion because I was raped, and I did not want that child at all. And my mom called me a murderer on social media for everyone to see. Now, my abortion was public. I was making YouTube videos about it, talking about the process, how I found out I'm pregnant, the feelings I was going through, the depression I was going through, the process, how it made me feel. I was documenting it. I did celebrate the end of my abortion. I was happy that I could have a pill-induced abortion because the thing is I was really worried about having it because at the time, when I went to the doctors, they were worried because the egg hadn't dropped when it was supposed to. And they were worried about it being an ectopic pregnancy, which then I couldn't have a pill-induced abortion. I would have to have surgery, which would have cost me more money, which would have cost me more pain, which would have made me more bedridden. And so, I wasn't celebrating. I understand. But anyway, me crying and moaning and shuffling around the room was because I was abandoned. I felt abandoned. I didn't do this. I didn't have the abortion to spite somebody. I didn't have it to. It was a rape baby that I was not ready for. Emotionally, physically, I was not ready for it, and I made the best decision for myself because it was either get rid of it or I give birth to it and I kill myself. Or I take both of us out before I even give birth. It was that bad. It like I made the best decision for me. I kept myself alive, and I don't regret it. And of course, later down the line, I did tell my mom, like, it was either I kill myself and the baby, or I give birth to it and kill myself still, and now there's a baby still, or I get rid of it and I keep living until I am ready, or if I don't want them. Like, that's it. And she did apologize. And she said she was wrong, and she loves me dearly. Like I said, my parents have come a long way. And they're totally different people now than they were when I was growing up. And so, but back to the trip. I think after that, I just like collapsed to my knees and I was exhausted. It felt like a long time, but I think it had been like 3 hours. 3 hours of me crying, scratching at the carpet, pacing. My back hurt. I had no more tears. My eyes hurt. My face was red. I felt drained. I felt so weak and drained, and all the fight was out of me. And that's when I went to bed. I went to sleep. I think I went to sleep at like noon or 1 in the afternoon. All this in the span of from like 8:30 to then. That's not that long. And I still couldn't speak English. I went to bed. I went to sleep. When I woke up, my boyfriend at the time was home from work. So I slept like 6 to 7 hours. And when I woke up, he was in his room, because I can't sleep next to my partners. That probably comes from the rape, but I really struggle with it. It's not as bad now, but at the time I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't sharing a bed with him. I was sleeping on the couch in the living room, and by choice. So yeah, but anyway, he came home and he was home, so I went into the living room, or I went to the bedroom to greet him. And when I tried to, I realized I still don't know English. I know it in my head, but I don't know phonetically how to get it out. So I had to like go and grab my journal again and write on it. Not very well either. My writing was still pretty bad. That I didn't know English yet. I was still recovering. In my last video, I said that when you take big doses like that, you have to have recovery time. That is what I mean, because your brain is playing catch up. Your brain is rewiring and it's playing catch up, and you're processing everything that just happened. So you have to take those recovery times and those breathing times. If you just keep taking it over and over and over, then you're not processing anything. You're not understanding anything. You're not realizing the significance of what happened and why. You have to stop and process. As much as it hurts or whatever, you have to do it. But that was the trip. I wish I had the footage. I just don't. Otherwise, I would upload it and show it, but I just don't have it. It is one of those things that is lost to the void. I guess I could try and like scour my like to see like hunt my old Facebook page and see if I could and see if it's still on there, but I don't think so. And I've had like 2 or 3 other Facebooks since then, so I couldn't even tell you which one it would be under, if I'm being totally honest. That's that running and hiding. Anyway, but yeah, okay. So that was the trip, and it was huge, and there was a lot of religious and trauma, and that's why it was so big, and a lot. Thank you, Forrest, for sitting here patiently and let me hold you and. Thing like that. Usually, when I'm on mushrooms, my cat is trying to comfort me and hug me and cuddle me. I love my cat, but when my hands are really hot, I don't want to touch something else that's also another warm body. So as much as I want to hug him and hold him, one, he's a really warm thing I don't want to touch. And also, when I get anxiety or I get the high energy, one of the big things I'm prone to do is squeezing. I do it really bad sometimes, and the last thing I want to do is squeeze him and hurt him or potentially kill him. So I am very thankful for Forrest here and all my plushies that are kind of my substitute. My girlfriend's put up with it too, where she'll let me either really squeeze her hand or her arm, or but I have to be careful because, like I said, I'll start squeezing and then I start wringing. The squeezing is not the problem, at least not for her. What's the problem for her is when I start to wring. So if I'm holding her arm and I'm squeezing and I start to do this, that's when it's a problem. Because I don't know why. So I don't know why that happens sometimes. It doesn't happen all the time. I think it's stress induced or anxiety induced. So when you're on mushrooms and you're having stress or anxiety, it's gonna manifest. It's gonna manifest, and you can't really control it. It's really hard to control. Anyway, but thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys in another video. My next video, I'm gonna talk about the first time I did LSD. Not as intense, not as crazy, because I knew the dosage, and the dosage wasn't that crazy because you're not supposed to take a whole lot of that shit. That will for sure fuck you up. 100%. Okay, so bye. Oh, I guess first, bye.